travel through time to you get one, you can come back, but you got to travel to one point in time, future or past. Where are you going?
Not the future.
You're not going future?
Not the future. Probably maybe the Roman Colosseum, You
want to go see the gladiators fight?
Yeah, let's do it.
What about
we should do a show from there.
We should do a show from the past?
Stewie Griffin's Time Machine.
We should do a show from the past.
Let's do it.
We'll work on it.
That's a good question, though. What do y'all say?
Blaine, what about you?
I want to know how everything was created.
Oh, you want to go back to the start?
I'm going way back.
Oh, you're going way back.
I'm going to go back to the start.
I'm trying to fight dinosaurs with my hands.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I would go back.
I think you'd lose.
I would go back. It's just like on Hot Tub Time Machine. I'd do exactly what Lou did. I'd go back and create like the Jake version of Google.
Is that
it was like Lugal.
Selfish.
Is that a good movie?
It actually is a good movie.
Is it?
I think Hot Tub Time Machine is a good movie.
It's a quality movie.
I think it's a quality movie.
What movie we were talking about the other day? Celtic Pride. You hadn't seen
Celtic Pride. You got to see it.
I'm taking recommendations right now for boys' night tonight with Adam.
It's Celtic Pride.
The two of us.
Dude, you're going to laugh till you puke.
Let it be said, let it be done.
Let it be said, let it be done. Jay Wright retires from Villanova. The Celtics top the Nets again. And we debate whether professional athletes should or should not be allowed to gamble on their own teams. I'm Jake Crain, and welcome to Crain & Company. There are many old sayings that we use in today's world, like iron sharpens iron, it takes one to know one, or birds of a feather flock together. But after Villanova men's basketball coach Jay Wright announced his retirement yesterday at the young age of 60, there was only one cliche that came to my mind. Get out while the getting is good. We sometimes see people in life that find success and hold on to their spot way too long. We see it in sports, politics, business, and almost every realm of life. But every now and then, we see someone decide to hang it up while they are on top and can still function, as opposed to finally retiring at some very advanced age and having no capability to do anything after. Jay Wright's won 2 natties. He's been to 4 Final Fours. He's dominated the Big East and won almost every coaching award there is to win. He has climbed to the mountaintop multiple times and been able to adorn his fingers with more rings than a Jared's. He knew when to say when, though. And being 60, he can get into the analyst role on TV, take some time off of coaching and hop back in for a couple years if he misses it, but most importantly, spend quality time with his family. Coaching is a job that has no stable hours. There is no clock. If there was, technically, it never stops, with recruiting being a year-round venture and the offseason needing almost as much preparation as the actual playing season. I was in the business, I know. My father was in the business. I didn't really get to know him until I was almost 9 years old. Now, we've seen other young coaches almost make the same decision. Sean McVay comes to mind after winning the Super Bowl. And as coaching turns more into a young man's game every cycle, will we start to see more successful coaches retire at an early age? That would be a pendulum shift that would shock many, seeing as coaches' salaries are going up faster than gas prices nowadays. Either way, the time was just right for Jay. And the time's always right to get legacy bucks. Let me bring in David Cohn. Blaine Crain, co-host, which he will be referred to today as Judge Handsome and Wealthy. That's what you want to be called as we have our head-to-head. But
this is amazing.
It is amazing.
Thank
he looks
you,
like Thomas Jefferson's son who partied too much.
But I ran in 5 pockets.
Yeah, here, this is going to be absolutely
wow.
I do, before we get into the Jay Wright stuff and then the little NBA stuff and then the head-to-head, do you think we're starting to see a paradigm shift in coaching where if it is going to keep turning into a young man's game, we see young coaches all across the board, whether it's in college, whether it's in professional, regardless of sport? Do you think we're going to start seeing guys retire at an earlier age as opposed to, I don't know, the Joe Pa route, where you just coach until you literally die?
We talked about this a few weeks ago when Coach K was retiring, and we said no, and one of the guys we pointed to was Jay Wright.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this really did surprise me. But if he's doing it because he truly has, the game has fulfilled him and he does want to spend time with family, then I wish him the best. I don't know him personally, obviously, but it seems like he was an honorable man who did things the right way and led a fantastic program, multinational champion.
Yeah, and his suit game was 100% on point.
That too. And the fact he was wearing a suit.
Blaine, too. Yeah, it's again, Sean McVay comes to mind. He almost took that job to get in the broadcast booth. Sean Payton's not a super old guy who just left the Saints. I look at Matt Luke Georgia's offensive line coach, who was the head coach at Ole Miss previously. They won the national championship. He decides to get out of it, to spend more time with his family. And I totally get that part. My question to you, Blaine, is Jay Wright's got nothing left to win. What else do you have to win? What else do you have to win?
You've climbed the mountain. You've won it all. Championships, conference championship, national championships. Mm-hmm. You've done everything realistically you do as a basketball coach. And, you know, what's realistically – it's one thing better – well, it's probably a couple things better than winning a championship. One of that's being around your family. I mean, seeing your kids grow up, seeing your grandkids grow up. I think that has a lot to do with it. And I really hope he does become an analyst because I love listening to Jay Wright talk about basketball. But do you think the shifting of the game with the transfer portal has anything to do with this? It's a lot. It's all new.
I don't. I don't. You know, if like Dabo or somebody retired at Clemson, like out of the blue like this, I would say yes, hell yes, 100%. I don't think that's really it with Jay Wright. Because again, you had the transfer portal, you've had it for a little bit. What did Villanova just do? They went to the Final Four. So to me, that's a harder argument to make. But again, good luck to Jay Wright, a guy that really, really did it the right way. And again, it'll be interesting to see what he does. I would not be shocked at all if we saw him on TV next year.
Yeah, with Coach Wright out of the way, how much longer can we expect Villanova to be a perennial powerhouse?
Well, again, you never want to be the guy that follows the guy, but they have the culture ingrained there. You know Coach Wright, whoever, I know they have an interim right now, whoever takes over and officially has that job, I guarantee you is going to be 100% endorsed by Jay Wright and is going to get a lot of help through the high school recruiting ranks, where they typically go, where they've had success. I think the brand of Villanova, even though Jay Wright has done an unbelievable job for that university, and now we know it's a real university after seeing Villanova.
We met them.
People that went there, that's a real place. I think Villanova's brand is bigger than just Jay Wright is. I think they'll have sustaining power. Will they have the success that they had while he was there? That's going to be a tough ask for anybody. You know, you kind of look at the makeup of the Big East and who's around them. We know it's a talented conference. But before we get into head-to-head, we got to talk about some NBA.
Big games last night, fellas.
And here's what I want to say. I don't want to come on here every day and talk about James Harden.
But
I don't want to. Let me finish.
Yes, you do.
Can I finish?
Yes, you do.
Can I finish, though?
You kind of do.
Please,
can I finish? Where's KD? Where's KD? And people say, oh, it's just a couple games, and we got a clip. But you've had your two worst offensive games consecutively of your career. You have disappeared first two games against the Nets, who are playing unbelievably physical defense. And people now are starting to ring the bell about KD. James Harden last night, 19 points, 10 assists, 6 rebounds, not turning the ball over. It's a team game. You went up there in Toronto. Drake's in the building. Views from the 6, dubs from the 6. I'm telling you guys right now, Nets aren't making out of this thing alive. They're not making out of this round alive. The Celtics are more physical than they are. They play better team basketball. And the Nets have a ton of deficiencies. What if I came on here and said the whole time about the Nets? They can beat you in one way. They have to play unbelievably offensively. If they don't, they're not going to be able to beat you. And they have continuously shown, I know Kyrie wasn't playing half the games in the regular season, but what we've seen so far, they've been bullied by Boston twice. They are bullying Kevin Durant. They are up in his grill. They are playing physical. They're not making it easy. And the Nets don't play defense, and they're not a big team. Every time that somebody gets the ball that's not – I know Drummond's a big guy down low, but he's not the best rim protector in the league, in my opinion. Whether it's Seth Curry, whether it's Dragic, it doesn't matter. They're getting back down in the post. These guards are getting bullied. They're not a big team, and the Nets aren't physical, and they're not playing great offensively. That's why they're not going to win this series.
Well, they've clearly had an excellent game plan for him, 2 games in a row. But go ahead, fill us in here, because he still put up 27.
I don't get the real quick though. I don't get the game. It's not like Kevin Durant hasn't seen what's happened to him right now. It's not like Boston has invented some defense that Kevin Durant's like freaking out about. They are playing physical. They know they have help behind them, but they are beating Kevin Durant up. If the officials start changing the way they call the game, then it may get a little more interesting. Going back to Brooklyn, I think you will see it officiated a little bit different the next 2 games. But right now, they're getting punked. It's punked. Where's Ashton Kutcher? Coming out in the middle of the court.
They lost 2 games on – hold on. They lost 2 games on the road by a total of 8 points, and we're still talking about how bad Kevin Durant's playing.
He is playing
and how bad. And they lost by 8 points on the road. It's on the road. Can we see them at home first? No one's talking about the Bucks, who just lost at home. No one's really talking about the Suns,
because the Bucks just lost yesterday. This is the first show since yesterday when they lost.
We want to sit here and talk about the Nets who've lost by 8 points when their star players haven't played great on the road. This is why it's a
Kyrie
series.
did game one.
He played good game one, yes, but Kevin has it.
Yes.
And I will forever say this. If I'm going to sit here and be wrong about Kevin Durant not playing good in the game of basketball, that's fine. I will be. But I won't sit here and listen about how the Nets are just doing so bad when they've lost by 8 points
It's the way
on the road against Boston when Kevin Durant hasn't been playing well.
Part of this is the hype. Part of this is the hype that comes with them, okay? When you put a super team like that together, you're going to get this criticism.
Absolutely.
When you can't go into the TD Garden and win games.
I'll say this, and Blaine, this is almost like giving you a compliment and somewhat contradicting what you're saying in the same realm. Kevin Durant, we've had somebody sit on this show saying Kevin Durant's the best scorer on the planet. If LeBron had come out and had these performances in the first two games, they'd have murdered him. So my thing is, if we're going to call Kevin Durant the greatest scorer on the planet, and you come out and lay an egg twice in 2 big games against the Celtics, we better start holding people to the same standard. If we're going to hold James Harden to a standard, we better start holding Kevin Durant to the standard, because you're not showing up, and you had to go to the Warriors to win a championship. Don't think we forgot about that either. You couldn't get it on your own.
There's a difference between being the best offensive player on the planet and be the best player ever to dribble basketball.
Well, I'm saying the way that Kevin Durant gets hyped, if LeBron had came out here and had these 2 performances like this, they'd be drilling him. They'd be drilling him. I'm just telling you, it's not that they've lost. A lot of teams have lost the first 2 games on the road. Hell, the Pels are 1-1 going back home. You just talked about the Bulls just beat the Bucks 1-1 going back home. I get it. But what I'm saying is it's the way they're losing. It's the way Boston's beating them. It's the way Kevin Durant's playing. They have no answer because defensively, they don't play great on defense. Not that they're not trying to. They don't have great defensive personnel, and they're not a big team. They can beat you in one way, and that's they got to be hot offensively. KD's got to be hot. Kyrie's got to be hot.
If Kevin Durant doesn't play good in the playoffs, they're not going to win.
Exactly.
I mean,
so this could go one of 2 ways. This could continue like this because Boston is great defensively, or KD could go for 45 a game for the rest of this
He's going to get out.
What will happen here?
KD's going to get out of this.
I will sit here and say the same thing that I've said before this series started, when everyone's freaking out because the Nets lost 2 on the road against the number 2
These
team in the East.
These are important games, though.
They are, but where are these games?
They're in Boston.
They're in Boston. This will be a 7-game series.
Okay.
How many? You play 4 games in Boston, though.
But he's been on record saying they'll win. The Nets will win the 7th game in Boston.
7
no games
Boston.
Before that in Boston.
Because I'm leaning on Kyrie and KD's playoff experience.
Celtics going to win Game 6 in Brooklyn. They're going to win Game 6 in Brooklyn.
You have them in 6?
Got them in 6.
There you go.
It's got 76ers last night. Actually, you know what? Let's run this clip real quick of Kevin Durant before we get it. You want to run it?
Run this clip.
Let's run this clip. KD last night, you can see a little push up there just harassing them. You got to file a police report. It's harassment. You got to stay 100 feet away from me. The Celtics play scrappy team ball, and they have superstars.
Really,
they have one superstar.
Quarter.
Jaylen Brown is really trying to work his way back. Guys, the Nets had a 17-point lead. This team didn't quit. They held them to 17 points in the 4th quarter. When you can win in multiple ways.
I was shocked.
They held them to 12
I thought it was 17.
Was it 12 in the 4th?
12. I think it's 29
That
to 12
4th quarter shocked me, guys.
Look, sometimes you got to turn it on. But I tell you what didn't shock me. The 76ers going up 3-0 on the Raptors. Again, ho-hum, Joel Embiid, we go to overtime, did the overhit. No, hold on, let me throw up real quick. Joel Embiid hits a game-winning 3-pointer in OT to beat the Raptors. Again, I know the Raptors aren't the best team in the world. I get that. But the way their Sixers are playing, I know it was a tight game. You go and get a win on the road. You're up 3-0, looking to sweep. James is playing good. You didn't have Thibault. Maxey continuing to do their thing. To me, they continue just to get better as a team the longer they go on. I think they may be one of these teams that is peaking at the right time. Go get your sweep. Get your little rest. Let's rest up. Let's go to the next one. Because you know who you're going to see in the next one. I'm not going to get into that yet, but you know who you're going to see. What do you think, Mike?
I do think the Sixers will sweep.
Ooh,
but
it's
amazing how close their games are when they're in different places, right? Because the Sixers just been murdering the Raptors, killing them at home. And they have to hit a game-winning 3.
But where was the game, though?
At home. That's why you saw the difference in the way games get played versus on the road and versus home.
And they still won.
And that's what you'll see in the Nets and Celtics series. But, hey, Sixers good. Get this win. Sweep them, get some rest, and we'll see next series. Good luck.
We'll hit Bulls Bucks in rapid fire. You want to hit them in rapid fire at the end?
Yeah.
You ready for the noise or what? Well, you're the judge.
Yeah,
it's your
we're the
courtroom.
judge.
Go ahead, sir.
Deductive point.
Let us trade seats.
As we shout up.
What do you want? Y'all are gonna switch seats.
Yes.
I thought we
You're handsome and wealthiness.
Sit.
Are you Judge handsome and wealthy?
Is Judge handsome and wealthy? Oh, I'm over here in the chat now. Uh-oh.
Order in the court. I like this. This feels good right here. Today, I am Judge handsome and wealthy. And we have two honorable gentlemen here in this courtroom. Sir David Coneth and Sir Jacob
Nobody look at me.
Craineth. And today we will be discussing should pro athletes be able to gamble on their own team? And this is a segment we call Head to Head. We will start with a 2-minute opener. All right, are both parties ready?
Ready, sir. Judge handsome and wealthy.
Thank you for those kind words.
Yes, sir.
Are you ready?
Yes. Would you like me to start?
No, I would not.
You're handsome and wealthy.
Excuse me. Thank you. We'll have a 2-minute opener. It's okay?
Okay.
You may begin.
First of all, sir, Judge handsome and wealthy.
Here we go again.
Evidence that I want to reference throughout. Under no circumstance should pro athletes be allowed to wager on their own teams. And Judge, I'll go a step further. Under no circumstance should they be allowed to wager in their own sport. There is zero upside. And in life, when there is zero upside for something, but there are potential consequences, and we run a simple cost-benefit analysis, we don't do said thing. A lot of cost, no benefit. Okay, the first pitfall is obvious. This will lead to game manipulation in some capacity. Am I saying that they're going to fix the World Series again, Jake? I don't know. This will lead to game manipulation in some capacity. And if that happens, that would seriously impact most sports and even cripple some, okay? The Chicago Black Sox scandal almost ruined baseball, Jake, okay? Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Hey,
never heard
his
from him.
time.
Objection, Your Honor.
His time.
Thank you. Almost ruined baseball. Thank goodness it didn't, but it did ruin the White Sox for a while. Didn't win a pennant for 40 years and a World Series for almost a century, okay? But the NFL and other sports, they do allow casual betting. You'll see this here in the evidence I submitted. They do allow casual betting on other sports. So if Saquon Barkley wants to put down $50 on the Nets Celtics game, he can do that. That's great. They also can participate in fantasy, up to $250. No athlete's going to be throwing games to be able to participate in fantasy, okay? Let's even take game manipulation out of the equation. I still don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. Players are privy to privileged information. Just like I don't think sitting senators and congressmen should be able to trade stocks, okay, when they have privileged information in committees. That's the bottom line. The integrity of the game is paramount.
Time.
All right?
Time.
The
Well
integrity of the game is paramount.
Finish your statement.
Okay. And not wagering on your team's performance is a small price to pay in order to be a professional athlete.
Well done, Sir Coneth. Sir Craineth, your 2 minutes have begun, and you will get some extra time for Sir Coneth finishing his statement. An honorable statement, I must say. Thank you.
First off, I'd like to thank everybody being here. Your handsome and wealthiness. Really appreciate your time. Judge handsome and wealthiness.
Submit this to evidence, please.
I would like to, my submit to evidence is what country we living in. What country is this? Oh, it's the United States. Here in the United States, we don't try and find ways to take away rights from people. We try and give people as many rights as humanly possible without skirting a line, whether it be unprofessional or illegal. You made a couple very interesting points there, and I'm going to dissect that one like a frog in biology class later. That's too easy for me to start with. But where I want to start right here is, let's think about this. What do these coaches and athletes, because I'm going to throw coaches in there, what do these coaches and athletes already do? What are they paid to do? They're paid to win. And I'm going to lay out, once we get into the meat of this, my theory, my structure on how we can do this without making it more nefarious or having to add huge machinery into it. The right to bet on your team to win should be allowed, because if it is a money line bet, I'm not saying with the spread. You can never bet the spread with your team. If you want to bet any other team, That's fine in my opinion, because again, we talk about malfeasance and manipulation. What do people want? The stuff they can't get. Look at the prohibition. Look what happened with alcohol. You tell somebody they can't have something, they're going to find a way to get it. Look at marijuana. You tell somebody it's illegal, they're going to go buy a sack from somebody on the street, and now you have a dispensary. Now you can go get it legally. Sometimes people don't want it as bad if you can get it legally. So I don't think you can prevent any manipulation from happening by telling somebody they can't do something. Because even if they're not allowed to bet on their own team, you don't think they're going to tell their buddy, or they're going to have their buddy tell another buddy? Now you're having to outsource your gambling to somebody else to make a profit that you're going to get illegally. Instead of being able to do it yourself within the parameters of what I'm going to lay out, it's going to make a ton of sense. You're not preventing anything. You're not preventing anything. You're making people want to do something they can't do, which never works. Ask anybody who's had to raise a daughter.
Well done, honorable gentlemen. Fine points from both of you. Fine points from both of you. And now we're going to go into a question for each of you that kind of pushes back your argument. You'll have 1:30 each, okay? And David Crain, we will start with you. Shouldn't athletes, if anything, be able to bet on themselves?
If you mean figuratively bet on themselves, as in this is the correct course of action for me, this is the correct profession that I need to be engaged in, of course, we all do that. If you mean literally that I should be able to go and put $10,000 down every single night on some player prop that I want to, then absolutely not. They shouldn't be allowed to do that. Nor should coaches, nor should trainers, nor should anyone who's involved with the sport. I have a simple question that I would like to ask. Should referees and umpires be able to participate in the wagering as well? That's what I would like to know. And to me, that answer is no. They shouldn't. And there's no difference to me in this case. I mean, he's talking about in some cases, a coach can bet on the money line, but not on the line spread. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you're Pete Rose and you're the manager of the Reds and you put down $10,000 on a player to get so many hits and you take him out in the third inning, you can still win that wager. There's no upside. There's no upside. Fans cannot go on the court and launch a three. Fans cannot call a certain play that they want run from the sidelines. That's for the players and the coaches to do. Just like the coaches and the players cannot engage in wagering. That is for the fans, and they should not mix.
Well done, Sir Kenneth. So, Crain, question for you. Do you not think letting players bet on their own team will increase the fixing of games? Begin.
No, but I think we have to build some parameters around it. What I am saying, number one, it's not referees. You can't treat athletes and referees the same. That's totally different, in my opinion. I don't think those two can be used together.
They're people in objection.
No objection. No objection.
No.
You will have to
say it's America.
Hey, order in this courtroom.
Taking rights away from
Order
Americans.
in this courtroom.
Objection.
Order in this courtroom. We are both honorable gentlemen, and we will respect each other when we answer the question. If you have a rebuttal, we'll wait for open discussion.
Do I get more time?
You will get an extra 30 to 45 seconds. Please begin.
All right, here's what I'm saying. If you're a player or a coach on a team, let's just say, just for laughs and giggles, that it's the Falcons, like Calvin Ridley. And I do also want to say, I know it's the rule now. And if you broke the rule, you should be punished because it is a rule now. It was a rule when Pete Rose did it. I'm not saying they shouldn't be punished, but I'm saying we should change the rule. I'm going to go ahead and get that out there. But if you're a player or a coach, let's say you're for the Falcons, you're in the NFL. If you want to bet on your team, there is no player props. There's nothing like that on your own team. For other teams that are playing, you can bet whatever you want because that information is going to get out regardless. Because if we're going to start saying the players can't do it, then the trainers can't do it.
They can't.
But the trainers are.
Your Honor.
But goodness gracious.
So, Cone, you will be deducted points in this argument if you keep it.
I'm just saying that's.
I'm trying to.
Please, Cone.
Goodness gracious. What I'm saying is, I know there's an organization-wide ban, but that doesn't keep information from getting out. You're not keeping the flow of information from leaving the building because you're telling somebody you can't bet. If you don't think these people aren't telling their cousin who bets and he's telling his buddy and they're probably taking a cut from it at some point or the other, that's happening. But my rule is this. If you're going to bet on your team, it has to be money line. Not -2, not -4. There's not a player prop that somebody's going to get 8 rebounds, if you're an NBA team or whatever, if you're going to bet on your team, it has to be money line because you're trying to win anyway. You're paid to win anyway. You got a hell of a lot more money riding on you being able to win as a manager and a player, to be able to keep playing in the league, to be able to keep getting a bigger contract, to be able to keep performing than you are for a bet you're doing on the side. So you're not preventing anything. Any other team, if you're on the Falcons and the Packers are playing the Rams, you can bet whatever on there because it's not going to affect it. It's not going to affect it at all. You're not preventing anything by telling somebody they can't do it. You'll never stop the flow of information. Give them an opportunity. We know how to track it. That's how they found out about Calvin Ridley. If you want to be a player or a manager and you want to sign up to gamble, Charlie Blackmon from the Major League Baseball just became the first Major League Baseball player to sports gambling.
Order, honorable gentleman, Jake. Order, well done. Both of you from points that are very well and will get put into my storage of my brain. All right, so now we will open to an open discussion for 5 minutes, and we'll start with you, Sir Crain.
Okay, I got a question for you. Do you think there is not betting going on with athletes and coaches on the side going through a middleman to be able to make money? Do you think that doesn't exist? Calvin Ridley's the only one that ever did it.
I'm not going to say that no person has ever done it. What I'm saying is that the consequences right now are so great that it deters manipulation. I mean, what has happened with Calvin Ridley getting a full game or a full season, and what's happened
because he got caught.
Rose, yeah, and so the consequences now are deterring people from doing this, which I think is a good thing.
Well, why would the consequences not have deterred?
Like your theory here of, well, people are already breaking the rules, so we should just open this up and allow it, is the same thing that's happened with a lot of the NIL situation in terms of, well, coaches and teams were already paying players, so we should just allow that to happen writ large.
I mean, I think
writ large. That's not a good argument. Is that, well, some people are already breaking the rules, so we should just allow for it, open it up and allow that to happen writ large. No. That to me is never a good argument in society.
I think that's kind of oversimplifying what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, when I'm looking at something like this, when you have, and I'm not going to name any of the names, we all know the top sports gambling places that are making a ton of money off these leagues, which is making a ton of money off these players. Just like when I argued NIL, it's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair for somebody to go buy $1 million worth of Tim Tebow jerseys and he doesn't get a cut of that. NIL has helped kind of clear that up a little bit. And and I know, and he knows, players were getting paid way before NIL. Jimbo Fisher, the head coach of Texas A&M, said, we've been doing NIL for years. Y'all just heard about it, and a lot of coaches like it, outside really of Dabo Swinney and Nick Saban a little bit, but he's already taken advantage.
And it's different than pay for play.
To me, it's different, and you're.
That's what I'm saying. Those are two different things.
But what I'm saying is, right now, with the way that sports is going and the way sports gambling is going, is if you're a player, explain to me, Cone, how it adds more nefariousness by letting players bet on other games, and if they're going to bet on their team, only betting it money line. What does that add that is illegal? What does that add?
This is opening the door for game manipulation. I think we all know that's where this is going to lead. Okay. Now, the two questions that I want to ask you.
See, I don't think it's going to lead.
This is going to open. How can you say that?
How can you say that? How does it lead to game manipulation?
You know that this is going to lead to game fixing, people throwing games, people taking.
It would already be happening. It would already be happening.
You know what? I hurt my ankle, so I'm going to take myself out early. This is what this is going to lead to. What upside is there? What upside is there for your favorite athletes to be able to bet on their own games? What upside is?
Because you're giving a right to somebody that's an American.
So then let me ask you this. Should referees and umpires be allowed to wager on games?
Okay, let me.
Should referees and umpires be allowed to wager on games, or are you going to take right away from hardworking
No, okay, so why are you taking the right away from politicians to be able to
answer my question? Why would you? Okay, those are the two questions I want to ask you.
It's the same reason.
Those are the two questions I want to know. Should referees and umpires, yes or no? Can I get a yes or no? Can I get a yes or no, sir?
No, they shouldn't.
Should referees be allowed?
No, they shouldn't.
Should congressmen behind a committee wall be allowed to trade stocks?
No.
Well, then that's what you said.
Because guess what?
That's what you said. Information is going to get out regardless. That's what you said. You said that this is America. You said this is America and we shouldn't take rights away, but you want to take them away from referees and umpires.
They already don't have the right.
Then you said it's a flow of information and we can't control a flow of information. So if Saquon Barkley wants to sit out a game, he sends that information over to someone who plays on the Cowboys. That's going to get out anyway. So why can't committee members in Congress? Why can't committee members in Congress?
Order!
Why can't they?
Order! Answer.
in everything in life, there are rules for certain people in certain spots, right? There are regulations.
That's my point. You're a professional athlete. That's my point.
There's a difference. Is there a difference between a referee and a player? Is there a difference between a referee and a player?
There's not.
There's not a difference between a referee and a player.
There's not. You're affecting the game. You're affecting the game. I'm in the stands watching. You're affecting the game.
If you don't think there's a difference between a referee and a player,
you can't bet on your own sport. I'm sorry.
Okay, so a referee.
That's why the consequences are so severe.
What is the difference?
That's why the consequences are so severe.
Answer this question for me. What is the difference? I want you to think about this. What is the difference in between a referee betting on a team to win and a player only being able to bet money line on his team to win? There's a huge difference. There is a massive difference. That player is going out there doing the same thing.
Is there a difference? There could be. They should. None of them should be allowed to bet on the game. None of them should be allowed. And that's why they're not allowed.
If you want to compare referees to players that are betting on the
athletes already benefit from sports wagering.
Enough, honorable gentleman code. Enough. Hey, order in this courtroom. Order. Well, the time for questions and answers are over. The time is up. I am the judge, handsome and wealthy, and the time is up.
You are handsome.
Thank you. Well done for both of you. You did get a little bit talking over each other a little bit, so I don't know who all heard everything. But you will have 1:30 for your closing arguments. And so, Kenneth, we will start with you.
I'll end where I started. Under no circumstances should athletes be allowed to bet on their own teams or even in their own leagues. There is no upside for this, okay? Run a simple cost-benefit analysis, and you will see that the leagues already know this. This is why the consequences are so severe. And Pete Rose should not be in the Hall of Fame. Pete Rose should not be in the Hall of Fame. Now, no one is trying to take away Pete Rose's hits. He's the greatest hitter who ever lived. No one is trying to take away Pete Rose's World Series. He is a champion for life. But he does not belong in the Hall of Fame, and he should not be in the Hall of Fame, okay? Because the Hall of Fame is reserved for individuals of integrity. It's not just reserved for on-field play. Now, should Calvin Ridley or some of these other athletes be banned for life for what they've done? I don't know if he should be banned for life from the NFL. We'll see what their judgment is. All I know is that this will lead to game manipulation, and even when it doesn't, even if it doesn't, I don't want the players on the field placing wagers. That's the fans' job. Just like it's the players' job to play the game, I don't get to call plays. I don't get to go out there and launch a three. Not wagering on your sport is a small price to pay to be a professional athlete. And if any one of them would like to trade places, I'd be glad to trade places with them. Okay? I would be glad to trade places with them. If you want to place wagers, as a professional athlete, it's very, very simple. Stop being a professional athlete.
You will also have 1:30 and a little bit extra time for your closing argument. So, Crain, well done. So, Kenneth, and you may begin.
Yeah, I'll end where I started on top. It's very simple to me. We live in a country where, as I said at the beginning, we don't take away rights. We find a way to give people their rights while being able to have some structure or rules to where it doesn't get manipulated. You'll never stop game manipulation. If you think it's not happening now, that's the most naive thing I've ever heard. And I know you deep down don't think that. I'll say what I said again. You won't prevent people from betting on the game that are athletes. Regardless if you sit down and have a seminar, the same type of seminars they have when they draft guys and give them a finance class and they still go spend all their money in the first 2 years. Sometimes you just can't help it. But people want to do what they're not allowed to do by allowing somebody when they're betting on their team to bet money line, and then when they're betting anything else, that's fine. You're not changing anything. When it gets to the referees, that's where it's totally different, just like we talked about with politicians with insider trading, because you can affect the game in a different way. And on the politics side, you hear stuff before other people hear it. It's basically insider trading. A referee can have a ton of more effect on a game than a player can have. It's a ton. That's documented. It's very easy to see. My question for everybody out there is, if you're going to tell me that the amount of money that has been made off of the players with daily fantasy, with sports books, with whatever, is something that they're not allowed to touch, even if they were to follow parameters and rules that you can check and you can maintain, I don't agree with that. So again, would I suggest that it should be free across the board? You can bet on all you can bet? No, because I do think that would increase manipulation. If it was a 4.5 point spread and you let them bet that, you could increase it there. But if it's just money line to win, not to lose, just to win money line, I don't think it adds any problems. I mean, Charlie Blackmon just got a deal from Bet Maxim, something like that, Maxim Bets. So going by that theory, then he should never be able to make the Hall of Fame, but he's probably not anyway.
Well done, both gentlemen.
There's a lot
So
of positivity from you, man. I
So
like
well
that.
done. So Crain, you both were absolutely elegant in the way you ended your arguments, and I feel like you both should congratulate each other. My final verdict.
Yes.
It's been tough. But I do think, so Conant, you have won this argument.
Okay.
I think that players should not be able to bet on the games because I do think it's a Pandora's box that we do not need to open. But Jake Crain, you did well, sir.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you. And sorry I didn't pick LeBron as the greatest all time. I know you're still
You
holding
did
that
well,
for me.
sir. Who is LeBron?
Yeah, that's exactly right. All right. Blaine may not have the best verdict. Let's trade places again. Good job, Coney.
That was fun, man.
That was.
fun.
We're going to talk some more sports now, so if you want to watch or listen to the rest of the show, head over to the Daily Wire, become a member, listen on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share it with your friends. I'll be right back, unlike Blaine's British accent.